got 25 minutes. We got to go.
Yes!
Happy Wednesday.
Happy Wednesday, everyone. Welcome to Say That channel. We're glad to have you all with us for season 2, episode 3. This is awesome because now I don't need to have a gazillion fingers in order to represent every single episode. Yeah, happy Hump Day, Jeannie. Happy Hump Day.
I love it. I love it. Happy Hump Day, everybody. Exciting day. Let's jump right into it, guys. Janelle, where's that drum roll? Boom, boom. Today's question, are you growing, and are you growing enough to reach your business goals? I actually love this one. I'm going to have Janelle kick this one off.
So I have heard someone say that if you're not growing, you're dying, right? Recently, I even heard there's only 2 things. Either you're growing or you're regressing. And I was like, oof, that's even, I don't know, for some reason that sounded worse to me than dying. But I completely agree with that. Like, once we have met our need, right? We have food, we have shelter, we feel safe, we feel loved. There's this need to feel like we're doing something to help others, right? So some sort of like fulfillment. And the only way that you can really do that is through growth, right? Like you have to continually get better, right? Be a better person, be a better dad, be a better daughter, be a better child of God. just being better. And it requires constant growth. Like you can't stay stagnant in that. Like you can't just stay in that place and think that like things will be good. And to that end, the part about reaching your business goals even more, I mean, I'm just talking about in general, but I think the reason why either you're growing or you're regressing, and when they said regressing, they meant like going backwards. Either you're growing or you're going backwards. And specifically for business goals, this is the part that it was kind of like a slap in the face wake up call, because I was like, man, if I'm not growing in my business, that means my business is going backwards. And that is not where I want it to go. So how can I continue to push myself in order to grow as a person, so that way I can actually attain my business goals? And growth, it doesn't necessarily feel good all the time. A lot of times it's actually quite uncomfortable. And I think that is probably a part of this, the part that's a challenge, right? For people is that they want to grow, but then like, no, but like I've been doing it this way the whole time, or like, this is how it's always worked. Well, somebody could come with a suggestion that can make you either more efficient, or, you don't have to, you can actually work smarter instead of harder, but you're like, no, I work hard. This is what I do. And yet you're like capping yourself because you're not growing into that change. Or you're not changing towards that growth. I guess you could say it either way. But anyway, so me personally, I know that it is something that I work on all the time, is growth. And to be honest, because certain goals haven't been reached, sometimes I wonder, am I growing enough? I think that's where I sit with this question. I don't know about you guys out there. If anybody can relate to that, let us know. Yeah, that's where I am. Am I growing enough? I don't know.
Wow. You started out with a lot, which I love. I absolutely love this question as well. One, because it definitely challenges or maybe encourages you to take a moment to reflect, which is not something I can say I guess for myself, is not something I'd always leaned into doing, or took the time to, or even knew to do, right? You don't know what you don't know. So the question, are you growing? I'm going to say, similar to you, yes. Am I growing in all the areas that I would want? Wow. I would have normally said no, but you're right. And I think about something that we talked about in a I guess, one of the other episodes this season so far, about this idea of even if you can be perfecting the wrong things or growing in the wrong areas, or growing towards the wrong things, right? And so when you say growth, what I think, what I turn the word into is, what am I getting better at? Like, what am I getting better at doing? And are those things, to the second questions, advantageous to the success of my business? And that's where I'm definitely going to say, I don't know. Like, no. I want to believe, I guess when I'm talking positively to myself, I'm going to say yes. And there are definitely times where I feel like I can think of things that I am not doing well, but I continue to do. And therefore, I am having growth in that, but it just may not be the right growth. That's wild to think about right now. Because it's like a positive to acknowledge the growth. To your point, I can acknowledge that I'm doing certain things more, but I don't think it's all the things I need to do. And similar to you, I think because I'm looking externally as to where my business is, as a reflection of where my growth is, I don't see the type of growth I would want. Yeah. Wow.
This is a very real, very heavy, as some people may say. I think it's important. I mean, to take a moment to even reflect on that, right? And it's like, ugh. And if you're okay, so we're not happy with that. So like, what can we do? What are we willing to get uncomfortable with? I don't know. Like, can you guys relate to this? Anybody out there? Hello. Listen, I mean, like, I'm seriously thinking, to your point, Winston, I love this question. Thank you guys for putting this question out there. Again, any questions that you have, please let us know. We'd love to have them up for the following weeks. And yeah, I mean, so it's one thing, right? To your point, you want to acknowledge the growth that you have had, right? Because certainly there has been some growth. Otherwise, I wouldn't have gotten to the success that I have gotten. So it's like, all right, there's growth in that sense. And then, so I can acknowledge that. And then I guess, I think it's also healthy, right? It has to be healthy to feel like, yeah, but I'm still growing. Like, I still have a lot to learn. I still have a lot to go through. I think of like the Jim Rohns, or some of the leaders that we know, and like Les Brown or something like that. And like, they have never said like, I'm done growing, I'm done learning, no more, the end. Like, and these are people we look up to and we think like, man, like, I want to get to their type of success. And even they acknowledge that they still have room to improve and room for growth. And so it just makes me think like, okay, so we're definitely on the right path, right? But yeah.
Sorry to jump in.
Yeah.
You know what, really, as you were going through it, and you mentioned Les Brown, it made me think of Matt Morris. For anyone out there who knows Matt Morris,
Unemployed millionaire.
Exactly, best-selling author. I mean, amazing. Pioneer network marketing at this point. He's spoken at Eric Worre's GoPro event. Definitely somebody you should definitely go check out. And one thing Matt had said at our last training event was this idea. Somebody asked him a question. He said, and I was surprised that no one had ever asked this question, because it feels like a question that you'd think somebody would have asked him at this point of over 20 years, I think. And it was, Matt, what would you say to yourself, yourself when you were first getting started, or not essentially first getting started, but when you were at that point? I think he had been a couple years in, hadn't had success. And his response, and I'm looking at the second part of this question, and I'm wondering if what you just said about how we acknowledge this is really what this is about, right? So he said in his response to himself, I would have told myself, you're better than you believe you are. And I thought about what you just said, Janelle, and I wondered if we just said, if we could really within ourselves feel to the answer to number 2, are you growing enough to reach your business goal? And we just said objectively, yes. And what we remove, which is what I just identified as what I'm really judging. What I'm really judging is how long I think it's taking me. So if I remove that, the answer to your question is yes. The only thing that gets added on is not fast enough for me.
There's the real
that
thing.
Has nothing to do. Well, that has nothing to really do with the question.
No.
The question is just, are you growing enough to reach your business goal? The answer is yes. The part I don't know is how long it will take to reach those
right.
goals.
So
that's what I'm here frustrated about.
Right. So 20 years from now,
yeah,
if this same question would be
review, that's what I thought.
Yeah, because I've achieved my business goals. So like I'm definitely growing to achieve them. But to your point,
it'd be the same. Winston, it'd be Winston. What would you have told yourself? That I just immediately thought of his answer.
Yeah.
You were further along and probably better than you believed you were.
Yeah.
And had you really believed you were that as good as you're going to be in 20 years, you would have stepped into it. Because we're those people. Obviously, there are going to be things we're going to learn. There are going to be paradigm shifts. But we are essentially those people now. We are those people now. Maybe asking a mentor provide insight as to a barometer being used to determine growth could be helpful. That's always good. One of the things I'd often say, and Jim Rohn's one of those guys where he'd say, if you wanna, his thing was, let me just spend a day with you and I'll tell you just looking at your habits if you're successful or not.
Mm-hmm.
So even for a barometer, great insight, Brittany. Even as a barometer, what we could do is we have guys like that. For anyone, may not obviously have a mentor, upline, something like that. But we have people like that who put out there, or again, your company has a system that tells you what you should be doing maybe on a day-to-day basis in regards to your business to have to reach different goals. But no, I love that.
So yeah, I mean, to your point, Brittany, I think that'll help bring some clarity as if you're trying to figure out, like, I don't know, am I growing? Like, am I getting closer to my goals?
I think now we transition into tracking numbers. Well, that's where my head goes.
Well, yes, right, because then that'll help you just determine and decide where you are. 100%. I think many people, when you start off in business, don't realize that there's a very crunchable way to determine these things. Like, for example, like what's your average, right? So like you have to show enough people your business, whether it's your product, service, or your business opportunity. And then like if you show enough people, you'll start to figure out what your average is. I need to show 10 people in order to get one to, buy or to sign up and be business partners with me, right? Like if you know that, then you're like, oh, good. So I just need to show, if my goal is to get 10 of these, then I just need to show 100 people, right? Or if your average is 1 out of 5, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So there's a certain amount of this that is very calculable. Maybe that's the word I'm looking for, not crunchable, but calculable. But then the in-between that, knowing that number, and then it's the in-between, right? Okay, I know I need to show 100 people. Where am I going to find those 100 people? Then, that's something that we ask ourselves or tell ourselves. Or what am I going to say to those 100 people? How should I say it to those people? Am I confident enough to say, am I going to have any help when I show those people, right? Like, and then, right. So there's a certain amount of this that's very quantifiable, and you can be like, yep, this is what I need to do. And then it's like the in-between. I know this is what I need to do. And there's some sort of mental something that happens in between that and this. And that's where, I think that's when we start to, I think that's where the growth is. I think that's when we start to identify like what needs to happen in order for the growth to take place. Does that make sense?
Yeah. It does. What I also wanted to, I guess ask or throw out there, since I think we looked at it from that side, is one of the things obviously I realized, and we had talked about or maybe we didn't. I think you and I, Janelle, talked about this, about the staggering amount of people who, and we're just talking again, we're talking to you guys, we're going to be very transparent and honest, get into this industry and quit before they have any success. And I mean, I remember we've said this before, the idea of, I got to learn these numbers. But in our industry, I'm going to just throw out a number. Please, if it's wrong, you can definitely let us know. But I know there's a percentage, more than 50% of people who never enroll anyone in their opportunity. Like Janelle said, they never sell a product. It's more than 50%. And what I think about when I think about that is, because many of us, I would imagine, get into the business side of this to make money, that idea of not earning money equates to, like, if it was a job, not having success here. But I wonder, and this is I've gone even back and forth with this. There's times where I'm sitting at an event, I'm sitting at a training, I'm reading a book that I know I only know about the book because of a network marketing event, and I'm getting value. I'm reading this thing and I'm like, man, this is blowing my mind. I'm never gonna leave this. And then I don't make enough sales to hit a goal or whatever. And immediately I'm willing to almost throw this whole thing away because of what I am using as my barometer of success. Where, and hear me out, YouTubers, or Say That Nation, imagine if we could change the way we look at this industry or this opportunity as, and this is just me, and I think I honestly just our company and what our vision is for this industry is having a group of just having leaders come out of this industry. Like, because I recognize that everyone's not going to do this job full time, but I could imagine if people were better husbands, like Janelle said, wives, daughters, kids, employees, because of the personal development that comes out of this type of industry. Imagine if you kept your job as a doctor or as a lawyer, and because you're going out and getting personal development, because you're going to these seminars, because you're growing your mind, not just in this one area, like where you're that really good, but you're having this worldwide. I mean, Tony Robbins talks about these different stages, and even I think in the book Letting Go that we're reading, it discusses this idea of once you move beyond the self, and then even as network marketers, where we move beyond maybe I move beyond Say That Nation, and I have this global mindset where that's what I want for the world. I want to be the type of person that creates good in the world. And I'm not to say that, like, obviously there's this tragedy that just happened recently in Haiti, and then people are immediately drawn to that. But I'm thinking there's always a challenge in the world that can be solved. There's always something. One of the things I love about one of our the old company we're in was this bottle school program they had, where you went to another country and you got to travel a little bit while you were, or you got to vacation a little bit, I should say, while you were there. But it was this whole idea of helping. And I had as one of my list of 100 to go and do this. And, we no longer are affiliated. And I thought to myself, but I know that there are programs like this outside of this one thing that I could still go out there and do. So it just made me sit there and think, I was so fixated on just doing this one thing through this company. And I thought to myself, when I rewrote my list of 100, how limiting that was, because there's always good opportunities to go out and build some type of a humanitarian cause or something where I'm giving back in some way, shape, or form. And that if that's my goal, then whether the company I was with is there anymore doing it or not, I can go out now. And what if I start a bottle school program? Because it's something that I want to do. And I thought that would be a bigger, I didn't make any money from it, but what if that was a bigger overarching lesson or success that we could look at, this industry is putting out there in the world? The word enough can be identified as finite, and like you both said, growth is constant. It doesn't end, and if there's ever a point where you feel you've grown enough, you're in trouble. Say that.
Right.
Say
that. Yeah.
That's the first sign of pride. I love that. So yeah, what do you think? I know I went on. I hope that made some sense. I'm just thinking about people who I've heard like get on stage. They're like, I've been in this for 15 years and whatever. You may have hit a rank much faster than them. And they're like, but I love this community and what it's doing for my family. And I just think, man, if I could have that joy and not be so focused on the ranks or chasing the money down, this journey would be a lot more, a lot more pleasurable is probably not the right word to use right here, but just
enjoyable. The frustration would be taken out.
There you go. And that's where people quit.
Yeah, the frustration comes when you don't make the money that you thought you were going to make, when essentially you had certain expectations and they weren't met, whether that's the amount of money you thought you were going to make or the time in which you thought you were going to make that money, right? So it's interesting, right? If the expectation is that I'm going to grow, I'm going to learn about a lot more about myself, I'm going to better my community and my peers, and I'm going to be a better fill in the blank here. Imagine how much differently you would approach this.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is fascinating. Sorry, I'm like really intrigued by that seed that you just planted. Imagine that. Imagine what we're sharing with people is, I don't know what you got going on in your life. You probably want more, but the only way that you're going to achieve more is by being around people who outthink you, who are constantly in growth mode, and we would love to bring you into that. It's like a club, you know? You got to pay dues to be part of the club, and if you have a monetary, expectation, that's great. Are you in order to meet that expectation, there's a certain amount of work that you're willing to do. But if you're not willing to do that work, here's what you will get just by being a part of our club.
Yeah. Why I love that. One, I can't take credit for this. Again, it's a bigger vision. I'm pretty sure I heard this or pieced this together from a Jim Rohn and Les Brown audio I was listening to, if not this morning, then yesterday. But the way what you just said, and you've actually said this, Janelle, I mean, it's literally the vision you've had for our team for quite some time. This idea of a global network of friends that we are entrepreneurs for sure. We go out, we do different business ventures together, but it's just this community of friends that are actively, like, not passively, not I'm in your life and I hope I'm making your life. No, it's I'm in your life and I am intentionally telling you that our relationship is going to bring you value. And I don't say that to be cocky. I say that because we should have an intention in everything, right? And in my mind, if our intention is that our relationship is bringing value, adding value to others, it's going to definitely change, one, how we show up. I mean, think about what you talk. I mean, we can call it posture, because I know that's a big term that we use in our industry, is this idea of posture. And I know for all our folks who are fluent in color, right, who speak color, the yellows or those who are more caring or lean to that end of the spectrum, that's something that it puts courage behind you when you're able to say, and again, one of those two gentlemen, either Jim Rohn or Les Brown, said it in a way that made me want to be a part of what they were talking about. They're like, you can be that person where you go back to your high school and no one's living in the past about who was the prom king. No one's talking about that stuff anymore, realistically. Anyway, now we're really going through life. And how would it be if you could be the one that comes back and helps your friends, come back and help your family? And when you die, that's what you're remembered for. Janelle came back. Janelle gave me that call. Somebody in someone else's family one day goes, because Janelle called auntie such and such, I was able to go to college. Like, I mean, it seems so far-fetched, but Les Brown was saying how he was able to buy his mom, I guess maybe the second home he had got her because of this industry. And many people know Les Brown, but don't know that a lot of his wealth came from network marketing, and sales and speaking engagements, thanks to the training he got in network marketing and having to, definitely as a radio jockey, but there's just so much. One of my things as well, even in this industry, is to become a public speaker. Okay, I don't know. That's an early timer because we've been only live for 24 minutes. What's going on? I got a timer too. We got a call. Then, so
okay. We'll do your timer. We'll do your timer.
I'll try to cut me off. No. Go ahead. I've definitely been talking a lot today.
Oh, no. You were saying no. Finish your thought.
I just as we are coming to a close, I would say if you're on here, if you're watching this in the future, if you guys were on live with us today, thank you so much. I would encourage you, and this is our ask of you as people out in the marketplace in different companies. Let's start to have a unified vision of what our industry can do for the world. Yes, it's a place that you can come and make extra income, but I am believing, and I hope your company, I pray your company has a structure where you are getting trained, or they're encouraging you to go out and read books. One book, again, Jim Rohn mentioned, he said this, He goes, I've spoken to over 100,000 people. At almost every talk I give, I mention reading The Richest Man in Babylon. He goes, how many people you think have done it?
Oh.
He goes, probably 10%. And he goes, that's why it doesn't work for them. And it was so funny because I have that book. I've started it multiple times and I've never finished it. And today I was like, I'm going to get through this book. And I'm one of those people as well, just like others. We get in, they're telling us what to do, and we're not doing everything they say. And then we're going to say it doesn't work, but it doesn't work that way. You have to do what you're being asked to do. So I just want to say to anyone out there, you guys are watching this again, it's definitely worth getting good at for sure. And if we can adopt this idea of just that being the goal, just get good at this. However long it takes, it's always going to benefit someone in your life, whether you make $1,000 or $1 million. I think ultimately this industry can change the world just by what it does in the personal development space.
100%. Imagine you were making enough money that you could, send $1 million to Haiti right now.
Facts.
Right? Like,
say that.
You say that. Like, that's what I want to do. Money gives us options. It gives you the ability to give and help where it's needed. Right now, I don't know how many people I could help in Haiti right now, but I could have helped a lot more if I was if I had that type of money in my bank account. So,
or the resources, the connections.
True. That too. You're absolutely right. If I get a bunch of people together, maybe together we can, create $1 million and send that to Haiti. So I think that's important. It's what you're doing, but the growth, I think what you said, Winston, is amazing. The growth that we could create as a community within this industry and how we could change people's lives. Like that's what we're all about. That's what we're here to do.
Say that.
This is awesome.
Yeah, this was a good one. All right, guys. So thank you. We threw it up earlier. If you haven't started to follow us on Instagram, we're definitely going to be becoming way more active there. I'm excited for the guests that we have coming on next week. You are not going to want to miss that, guys. These people have been in this industry now, or they've been in the entrepreneurial space, and a big part of their mission is to go out now and create a global community of people who are like-minded, who are looking to move that boulder up that hill. So definitely make sure that you don't miss it, guys. And if you are on here, maybe this is the first time you're watching us, guys, do not forget to click that subscribe, press that like button for this episode. And every episode that we have on here, guys, is going to help the algorithms for YouTube. And we appreciate everything that you guys do and you bring to this community. And to everyone that we have on Patreon, we appreciate and love you guys. The community, what we're building there is going to truly, truly impact this world. It's going to make a global impact for sure.
Say that.
All right, guys. So in closing,
as always, remember you deserve the good life. Say that.
Have an amazing Wednesday, guys. Again, don't miss next week, guys. Love you guys.